Hi, I'm Derek Ashong, and you are now in The Stream, a social media community with its own daily TV show. We are bringing you the stories that are ongoing, global, and sourced from social media. Today, how the Syrian government may be drowning out the voices of protest on Twitter, an online platform that's driving innovation and ideas in Egypt, and a Hungarian doctor who's crowdsourcing medical information to help his patients. Our guest host, Glynis McNichol, is back with us today in The Stream. She is the media editor for the website Business Insider. Glynis, it's such a pleasure to have you back.
Thank you so much for having me back.
Also, I've got to introduce our digital producer, as always, Ahmed Shihab Eldin. You will notice on the Twitter screen behind him, normally we have a different kind of feed. This one looks different because there's been an outage on Amazon servers, affected a lot of sites, including us, Foursquare, Hootsuite, Quora, and others. Hopefully we'll have it fixed by Monday. Amazon will be back in full effect. In the meantime, Ahmed has been tracking the feedback that you've been giving us online. Ahmed, what have the people been saying?
Thanks, Derek. You know, every day we're adding new features to our website, but one of the most important and coolest things about our site is our Feed the Stream box, where you can share links, photos, and videos to help us tell stories. Today, Florian Westphal pointed to a Red Cross survey that shows that 59% of U.S. teenagers think it's acceptable to torture the enemy. Florian commented, "What's happening?" And we'll be tweeting out the survey for those of you who are following us on Twitter. And remember, you can also use the hashtag #TellAlJazeera to recommend stories to us. Another viewer, Eliza Talks, tweeted us quite a few things, including rumors that Canada may ban Twitter and Facebook for the upcoming elections. We're listening, Eliza, and we're planning on covering it, so keep it coming, because this is all about community, and we want and need you to be a part of it.
Thank you, Ahmed, for that. Let's jump right to our top story. If you've been following the hashtag Syria to keep yourself updated about the pro-democracy uprising in that country, chances are you could be flooded with all kinds of unrelated messages. Protesters say the government is doing this by creating spam accounts aimed at shutting out the voices of dissent. Syrian blogger Anas Katish has been reporting on the story and is joining us now via Skype from Boston. Anas, welcome to The Stream.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. So, could you give us, in a nutshell, a little roundup of what exactly has been happening with this alleged Twitter spam?
Sure. At first, I can't really verify whether the accounts are created by the government or not. But what's for sure is that there have been a group of Twitter accounts that have been spamming the Syria hashtag on Twitter and bombarding it with messages that are mostly irrelevant. Some of them relate to some results of sports matches that are really old. Some of them are links to photography. But the frequency and intensity of these tweets and even their repetitiveness degrade the quality of the conversation that usually takes place on the Syria hashtag and has affected many users, and many people complained and started reporting them as spam. And just recently, Twitter complied and filtered out those offending accounts from the Syria hashtag and from search results.
Well, I want to give an example for our viewers of what you're talking about. I'm showing on my screen now a tweet that we've translated, and it says, in round 7 in the Syrian League for the 2005-2006 season, the game ends between Ittihad and Al-Taliya with a score of 1-3. Now, who would be interested in scores from 5 or 6 years ago? I know Ahmed has also found a number of similar examples online as well.
Yeah, I mean, you know, my favorite, to be honest with you, and I'm glad I could share this right now with you, is from someone at The Lovely Syria, which is the guy in question, I guess. In Arabic right here, it says, صحن فلافل رائع الجمال ما, and then it links, essentially, which is, to translate it very briefly, isn't this falafel plate beautiful? I mean, you know, so what is this all about? Why are they filling the weight?
Well, first of all, I have to say that falafel plate is gorgeous. I mean, it's unlike many falafel plates I've seen in the past, but it does seem a little bit random.
Right. But let me ask you something, because in my experience using Twitter, if you're a frequent user of Twitter, you catch on fairly quickly to who is real and who is not real and who is to be trusted. So did users there adapt quickly and start using different hashtags to sort of keep this from filtering in?
No, what happened is that users were actually campaigning to report these users to Twitter to deal with them, because I mean, Syria was the de facto hashtag used for sharing information about the protests, among a few others, but Syria was the most prominent one. And you know, those accounts were basically in breach of Twitter's guidelines when it comes to spam, when it comes to automation. They were sending the same link over and over again, which constitutes spam according to Twitter's definitions. They were, you know, I wouldn't say flooding, but the intensity of the tweets, the repetitiveness, and because they used automation heavily, they definitely negatively affected other users, and they were disrupting the conversation.
Anas, I know that you claimed victory because I was following you on Twitter. You said right here, I just want to pull up this tweet. You say, victory, tweets from spammy users are no longer showing on the Syria hashtag search. And then they responded to you, you know, saying, at Anas Katish and at someone else, I hope you're satisfied, enjoy the bloodshed in Syria, and get as much of it as you can. Shame on you. What's your response?
I mean, that attack is unfounded. Nobody wants to see bloodshed at all. My goal was to make sure that relevant information are easy to find, because having information available for people ensures that nobody, that crimes don't happen and nobody, you know, that crimes don't happen and go unpunished, basically. If you know about a crime, there will be people demanding that it gets punished. If people are hampering the transmission of information, then we have a problem here, and people are at risk.
You know, this is something, Glynis, I would love to get your insights into, because what we're effectively seeing is regimes that have been, to some degree, subverted by people using social media as ways of getting ideas and information out, organizing, what have you, are now also trying to use the same tools. Is this an example of a sophisticated use of these tools, or is this, it seems a bit ham-handed in a way?
I think it does seem ham-handed the way you say, but what I find interesting about this is that Twitter itself reacted and fixed the problem, because when the Iranians were using Twitter, you know, a year and a half ago, Twitter went to do an overnight service update and shut it down, and the US government had to interfere to keep them from doing that service update. So the fact that Twitter has figured out how important they are and is actually responding to its users, saying that someone is in breach, and that people in breach are actually the government in Syria, to me suggests that Twitter is much more involved with how important it is.
Anas, how do people in your community, how did people feel when they saw that there was a response from Twitter? Because Twitter's not actually saying they support, you know, the pro-democracy protests or anything like that. They're just saying we're going to protect the usage of our service and make sure that spam is not allowed.
Oh, absolutely. Twitter was not censoring the conversation and was not censoring pro-government tweets. Actually, legitimate users who are pro-government, they can still use Twitter. They can tweet using the Syria hashtag, and the results, their tweets will show up on the hashtag. So here it's not about censorship. It's about just moderating a discussion and making sure that one side does not gain an illegal advantage through the usage of Twitter bots to spam and flood the conversation.
Now, Anas, we want to ask you one other thing. We understand that there's a website in Bahrain that seems to be hosting a lot of some of these accounts that people have felt are questionable. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Sure. The company is named Beena, and according to the website, they provided the technology. They provide technical solution for marketing, advertising, education, and even political campaigning. And they have provided the technology to operate at least 2 or 3 of these accounts. They have denied links to the rest of the accounts, but to me, they've been acting in the same trend, and even after being filtered out from the search results, they all have consistently lowered the periods of which they tweet. They all now tweet about once an hour.
I just want to let you know. I just want to quickly, sorry to cut you off, I want to let you know that we pulled up actually the website Lovely Syria, which claims to be, I think, you know, a photography website. And essentially, if you look at it, it just seems to be some sort of Drupal interface where you can log in. So I guess it's pretty clear to everybody that this is in fact a spam bot, right?
Yes, and I mean, they could say that it's a site that's under construction, but you don't start to heavily market a product where you only have a login page with no info.
Well, especially when they've got all of these images coming on their website. Like if people look at their Twitter feed, they've got all these images of falafels and football stadiums and all kinds of stuff, and they have no photos on their website. I mean, we can't confirm that it's a spam bot, but it definitely looks suspicious.
You know, very quick, go ahead.
No, I was going to say they're not sophisticated enough.
Jump and say one thing. I said,
yeah, jump in.
I was trying to say that regardless of the intentions behind creating those Twitter accounts, they were in breach of Twitter policies. They were spamming, and they were affecting other users negatively.
Thanks, Anas, for sharing that with us. We've got to move on to another story, but we appreciate you coming in and giving us the inside track on what's happening there. We'll definitely keep our eyes peeled on this story. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Absolutely, you too. Don't forget, we're looking all the time for your take on these stories, so please keep the tweets coming to @AJStream.
I'm Habib Haddad and I'm in the stream.
Now, our next story was suggested by a viewer, Mujib Mashal, and it's about an online platform called Beena, which means by us, as in made by us, in Egyptian colloquial Arabic. Beena brings together those looking to share and develop ideas that could potentially change lives across Egypt and the Arab world. This is a particularly interesting platform, and Ahmed, I know you've been looking at a number of different things on there, because Beena is basically a service that facilitates action by others. So they've got a wealth of different opportunities.
Yeah, it's tons of collaborative projects, and we've seen since the Egyptian uprising, you know, people are really using the internet and they think the possibilities truly are endless. I mean, here is their website right here, you can see it. But one thing that they're doing is, you know, they're helping a young lady who's trying to basically group all of the slogans and all of the graffiti from Tahrir. And, you know, that's been a really interesting aspect of the revolution, because a lot of that was crowdsourced using Google Moderator. And, you know, there's this website right now called I Am Tahrir, which is trying to document and collect all the art that was produced. And just let's recap very quickly some of the art that was produced. This Facebook group has a couple of photos. I'm going to go through them pretty quickly, but we all remember this photograph, this iconic image.
Hold that image there,
Sure.
Ahmed, because I think we've got founder Rami Naji. Rami is the founder of this particular website. He's joining us now via Skype from New York. Rami, welcome to the stream.
Hi, how are you? Thank you.
Man, it's a pleasure to have you here. I know you can't see all of these images, but right now, Ahmed has got some really amazing stuff on his screen, and I just want, Ahmed, if you could describe for us what you're showing.
Yeah, you know, these are from a Facebook group that's trying to collect graffiti and all of the things that were in Tahrir. And we see right here, you know, Mubarak's face with the Mickey Mouse ears above him, and it says War Disney presents Adios Mubarak. And I think the idea is that you're using Beena to really fund a lot of interesting projects. So why don't we talk about some of them?
Sure. I mean, first of all, thanks for having me on this show. I'm happy to be speaking on behalf of Beena, but we're really a large team, mostly all in Cairo and elsewhere of volunteers. You know, so far we've talked about more than 46 projects since the Egyptian revolution has started. The graffiti project is a perfect example of how, you know, people collaborate to do something that's inspiring, and at the same time you need a lot of participants to archive it and document it before it goes away from history. Another really cool project that I want to talk about is something called HarassMap. HarassMap is it started as an app, an iPhone app, where people can use it to you know, to basically report sexual harassment, any kind of harassment, and this is then, you know, through crowdsourcing, shows us a lot of facts about areas in Egypt that have social issues, and then other nonprofits come in and deal with an issue.
You know, Rami, that is a really particularly interesting one, because we were checking out the website and Ahmed pulled up some really great images from HarassMap. And it seems, I'm curious, first of all, while we're looking at this, is this something that is, you know, are you using technology from Ushahidi for that?
Not me. The people of HarassMap, they are.
Okay.
So what we're doing with Beena is we're trying to introduce this culture of collaboration, and we're trying to show people how to use it. So we're talking about something like HarassMap, and at the same time, we write about Ushahidi, and we talk about Ushahidi so that other people interested in doing similar projects, you know,
and for those of our users who are not familiar with Ushahidi, it's a website that's been started out of East Africa, and basically they provide open source tools for crisis mapping. So let's take a look at that HarassMap once again. That was one really cool example of how somebody can basically leverage their voice to help other people in their community. And I think Ahmed had a really good example of one of the voices that was mentioned in it.
Right, there's a lot of different voices, and I'm not going to go to one of them just because I want to give an overview of the different categories and how sophisticated this tool is. I mean, as you can see here, it's Cairo, and you can zoom in very easily. There's, you know, color-coded categories about touching, cat calls.
Cat calls and oogly. That's amazing. It offers a level of transparency and accountability that is stunning to me. And
what you do is you basically click on it, and then you see there's been 8 reports in this neighborhood, and if you click through to it, you know, someone's saying, I am a male, and I believe that harassment can get to males and females. On the data sign below, I was verbally harassed by a woman in Ramses Metro. So who would have thought?
Now,
it happens.
And you know, and Glynis, I'm interested in your thoughts on this because I know some of my female friends have told me when they travel, even in communities close to where they live, they always have to be very careful about where they go and who they're with and who they're not with. And you're seeing out of Egypt now an innovation that I think could be used by people worldwide.
I mean, I could use it walking down certain streets in New York, or certainly my friends could, or late night subway rides. I think it's really provides such an accountability, I think, is the important thing, because so much of this behavior, especially I think in the Middle East, goes under the radar and is not spoken about. So being able to do this, and I assume there's an anonymity factor to it where you don't sign names, I think provide a level of sort of safety where you can voice what's going on and give voice to what the problem is, but without feeling that you're exposing yourself.
Now, I know, Rami, there's another project that seems to be using the Ushahidi platform as well called Zabata. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. This is another project, and we actually met the team, and they're doing a great job of trying to do the same thing, but instead of sexual harassment, to do it with different crimes. So if someone saw a thief do something, it's the same idea. Zabatak means in Arabic, I caught you, and so it uses the same thing. And then through Beena, you'll see that there's more than 40 projects so far, and every day, and would welcome all contributors from around the world to join us to write about such inspiring projects that encourage collaboration to do something that is really making a difference.
One anecdote I need to throw out in this is that I grew up in Egypt for about 10 years, and I always joked, even during the revolution, when I saw the way in which people were organizing and mobilizing, such as Beena. Egypt really is the kind of place where you wouldn't necessarily say it's an organized country. Things don't move in clockwork, or it's not smooth. So I mean, it's fascinating, the opportunities and what's happened.
I also think there was a lot of chaos. Obviously, there was so much chaos after the uprising, but online as well, there were so many people who had moved online to voice what was happening to them, that to provide any sort of structure to organize that voice is only a good thing.
And that's actually a question that I have for you, Rami. I mean, what is the sentiment? Because you guys launched after the revolution, is that right?
The day Mubarak stepped down, this is when we launched the website beenaproject.com. Yep.
That's amazing. So you really are in many ways a product of the revolution. What is the sentiment that people have on the ground in Cairo now and other parts of Egypt? Do people still feel that same sense of joy, that spirit of Tahrir Square, or is the reality of governance settling in? What's the feeling like on the ground?
Egypt is going through a very interesting time right now. It's going through a lot of pressures. There's a lot of, politics is very tough. The economy is taking a hard toll in Egypt right now. But at the same time, with a time of change like this, the spirit that started in Tahrir Square is still there. I think it's all our job, and you guys are doing an amazing job at it, is to nurture these kind of voices and projects coming out of the revolution and after the revolution, and these are trying to do something. It's a startup feel happening in Egypt, and I think it's exciting. There's of course a lot of pressure on all of us as Egyptians with what the country is going through, but it's the price of freedom, I suppose.
Well, I definitely want to encourage you to keep paying that price, because you are literally inspiring people around the world, and I think that Egypt has taken on a whole new position in the imagination of the entire globe today. I want to thank you for sharing your project, because it makes Egyptians look good, it makes young people look good, and you're obviously doing good. So thank you for joining us, Rami, and we hope to have you again soon.
I hope so. Thank you.
If you have a story to share with us, tweet us at #TellAlJazeera.
And I'm in the street.
You could call this treatment by Twitter. A doctor who uses social media as deftly as he uses a stethoscope to help his patients. Hungarian Dr. Bertalan Mesko says Twitter and Facebook have helped him track down medical papers, locate new contacts, and even find answers to tricky medical cases. This is a story that really got me. Webicina, which you can see here on Ahmed's screen, in a nutshell, is a platform which this Dr. Mesko is using to source and think about and have an open dialogue about how to solve problems for patients.
Yeah, and it's amazing. We talk about curation. We're using Storify to curate stories. The media is using it. Individuals are using it. But you never think that it could actually work for medicine. And what's amazing about this website is you know, you can essentially be a medical professional or an empowered patient, and it's a customized site. You know, I quickly put in something about allergies because some people tend to suffer in the springtime.
All of us are suffering right now.
On the set. And you know what's amazing, though, honestly, is all these tools that you can use. If you want to get information about allergies, you can get it from a blog, from a podcast, from a video, from Twitter, from your mobile phone.
So
That's amazing. And I know, actually, let's bring in Dr. Misko because he's joining us live via Skype from Budapest. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for calling.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Glynis has got a question for you.
No, I was just going to say, is all of that information reliable? I think I'm among many people who likes to Google medical ailments for possible solutions or problems. So the information that you find here, is it all sourced and reliable?
It's a very hard question. Whenever you do a search for a medical symptom or condition, you will find out that there are hundreds of thousands of results, and it's quite hard to assess the quality of medical resources in social media. So what we do is that we use a community of professionals and e-patients and try to find the most relevant quality Twitter users, YouTube channels, blogs, podcasts, and so on, all these social media resources focusing on a medical specialty or condition in 17 languages.
Wow. And so, and what gave you the idea to do this? Because you are only recently out of medical school, is that correct?
Yes, I finished 2 years ago.
Okay, so you finished 2 years ago. A lot of people then are, you know, difficult, struggling through residency, etc. Maybe they want to do some additional advanced training. And you are not only a practicing physician, but you're really providing a platform that can help patients and physicians from around the world. What motivated you to do this?
Well, the idea came of my own experience. Whenever I try to find relevant resources in my own research or studies, I just realized that it's so hard to find really quality content, even in social media. Like myself, I use Twitter for medical reasons. I've been building a medical community on Twitter for 5 years now, which means whenever now I have a question, in a clinical or medical question, usually I get an answer in minutes. So that's why it's just worth building communities, which of course takes years and takes effort, but it's really worth it.
That's amazing. Ahmed, you know, you were showing me some things earlier about how this is having a global impact. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. And I saw your tweet earlier. It's worth mentioning that you were basically, you know, inviting people here to support you for the Medical App Awards in 2011. I believe the voting is over, but we wish you good luck. But what I found interesting is that, you know, people then immediately said, you know, please support Webicina. And this is someone who's from Belgium, you know, supporting you and saying that it's one of his favorite blogs focusing on medical applications. We even have someone else from Michigan. So it seems that there's kind of been a global interest in this kind of a service.
Yeah, the reason why I started using Twitter for medical reasons is that whenever I have a question, I could use Twitter or I could do a search in search engines. Of course, the second one is a much easier solution, but regarding the first one, even if it requires time and effort, now there must be someone in my community who has the answer for my specific question, or someone in my network's communities who might have the answer for my question, which means it's still worth building these communities. There are many clear reasons for that.
That's really, really powerful. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Misko, for joining us all the way from Budapest. We appreciate the work that you're doing, and thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you very much.
You know, Glynis, the thing that I love the most about this is it seems like technology is really globalizing great ideas.
Absolutely. Well, who among us has not immediately gone onto the internet and been like, wow, this part of my body hurts. What's wrong with me?
WebMD.
Exactly. And then, you know, what happens is all these results come up and you inevitably find yourself on some weird medical chat board and you have no idea whether the information you're getting is reliable or not. So this seems to be solving a problem that literally everybody has. It's, you know.
It's like he's literally curating a site. He, a medical professional, is curating other medical professionals, so you know that you can trust what you see there.
It's really interesting. We have revolutions, you know, political revolutions, social revolutions. Like this could very well be a medical revolution.
Absolutely. Happening just now. Glynis, I want to thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
It's been such a pleasure having you here with us in the stream. We want to thank you, our community, for also being with us here in the stream. Be sure to take a look around at our website, stream.aljazeera.com. You're going to find updates on today's stories and a whole lot more. And remember to keep tweeting us at AJStream. Let us know the stories you want to see. We will see you here again next week.